in Tahrir Square, and then the confirmation Friday morning from the military that they were backing the regime in its steadfast determination to stay on. And yet, over the course of Friday, you could sense that people were going to make it absolutely clear that if the government was going to try and cling on, they were not going to go anywhere. Their numbers grew throughout the day. I spoke to a number of people throughout yesterday who had never protested in the square but had made their way there for the first time because of the extraordinary events of the last of the 24 hours preceding that. And so when the news came by about 6 p.m, the square was absolutely chock-a-block. Many protesters had made their way beyond that to Egyptian state television and to the presidential palace, and the streets of Cairo were absolutely full of protesters that within a few minutes simply turned into partiers, and this amazing protest began to turn into what became early yesterday evening the mother of all parties.
And Melissa, there must still be plenty of people who did support Hosni Mubarak. He did have plenty of support in Egypt as well. So have his supporters been much in evidence in Cairo at all, or indeed across the country? And is there any possibility of a backlash?
Now, clearly, over the last 19 days now, the world has focused on what was happening in Tahrir Square, on what the protesters had to say, at the expense, no doubt, of a more balanced picture of what Egyptian society believes and wanted. But that is because what was happening in Tahrir Square was so extraordinary, and that no opposition or dissent had been allowed to express itself until then. And it did seem as though the people were taking control from a police state, from a very ruthless regime that had oppressed them for so long. So there was a natural tendency to focus on this extraordinary event. But there were, of course, hundreds of thousands of people who were very happy with Hosni Mubarak, who felt that he brought their country stability, who no doubt even believed the words of Omar Suleiman a few days ago that Egypt is just not ready for democracy. But one can't help but feel that although the people who made their way to Tahrir Square over the last 19 days were amongst the bravest, obviously, they were taking on a regime notorious for its repression, for its potential to crack down. Clearly, now that that regime is gone, I think that very quickly, if the transition should happen smoothly, most Egyptians will be convinced that, in fact, it is for the best. That'll be the key question, how the military handles it and how quickly they can confirm and reassure people that a transition to proper, transparent and real democracy can happen.
OK, well, Melissa Bell in the Egyptian capital, Cairo, many thanks for talking to us this morning. And, of course, it's not only Egypt's opposition figures